Welcome to Johnny's Car Care and Reviews for a really short review on the Chevrolet Z71. I'm going to cram as much information as I possibly can in this video within just a couple of minutes to give you the highs and the lows, the love-hate of the Z71 Colorado. First of all, not a fan of having a four-cylinder engine in a truck. Feel it needs a six-cylinder turbo, twin turbo really. I think that's the sweet spot for the mid-size truck segment. I love the styling. Great wheels, great tires, very useful. Go over most terrains with the tire that it comes with. Great LED lighting in the front, LED marker, and very efficient lighting right there. But there's also some things I don't like about the truck. We'll get inside and we'll talk about the things I don't like in just a moment, other than, well, the engine. I'm not crazy about the transmission either. It can be problematic in regards to shifting, but the styling is definitely a huge plus. Now I jump right in. I do love the fact that you can get it with the Line-X in here. Sorry, not Line-X, but the bed cover, that spray-in bed cover. I think that's great. Would be great if I'm not a fan of the fact that there's no option for a camera up here. Would love a camera that looks into the bed for pinning and whatnot. Mind you, you're not going to do a whole lot of fifth wheel hauling with that size box, but still useful. Very cool. The steps, Ford's finally added it with their Ranger. Really like the keyless entry here. The suspension, by the way, is fantastic. Now let's jump in to see some of the things we don't like. Now, right before we get into things that we don't like here at Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, please hit that like button, subscribe, and let's talk about a few more things that we do like. Love the interior, love the red seat belts, the red side ribbing, or you know, the ribbing here, the little piece of added red. Really great. Height of the truck, just right. Memory seats, wow, very cool for the truck segment. You got the brake controller there. I kind of feel like that's a 5 out of 10. It's not great. It's kind of concealed away. Really like the look here, but looks great when it's clean. But flat black, sorry, gloss black leads to, once you're the owner, it looks filthy. It just takes a tiny bit of dust. So really not a fan of gloss black. A fan when you're, you know, looking at pictures and shopping for the vehicle, but as an owner, definitely not appreciated, not liking that one bit. I do like how the auxiliary switch down there, really easy to find. You got your lane keeping, so all really well visible. Switch for the 2 high, 4 high, or 4 low. I even like the handbrake, good positioning, smart. Good feeling shifter. Now here's something I definitely do not like. Let's start it up and see how this goes. Oh, look at these pretty screens that get unbelievably filthy because they're flat black. But what's this? Buckle seatbelt to shift. I'm doing everything. I'm pressing in the button. I'm going back. Chevrolet, that is a fail. You don't legally have to have a system that blocks you from driving. The fuel economy now isn't great, and it's not horrible in any way. It's pretty darn decent. But it's a 4-cylinder, so you know they could have gotten that with, they could have gotten, you know, that kind of fuel mileage with a 6-cylinder. Heck, the Ford F-150 2.7 liter EcoBoost engine on the F-150 gets that kind of fuel economy. So the fuel economy isn't horrible. It's not great. It's just average. But when you consider that they put a 4-cylinder in this, it's kind of bad and disappointing. And let's, you know, look at that. When you're the owner, you're gonna get frustrated with how filthy this truck's gonna look, even if you do a good job of keeping it clean. Just a little bit of a dusting and it's looking bad. But the seats are very comfortable. The seat belts, the look, all really flashy. Awesome that this truck has cooled seats. Fantastic option. Good maps. Not a fan of this whole OnStar business of, you know, paying for services. So I think that's pretty crummy. Not a fan. Do like that this diminishes the light coming in, so if you got a BMW following you with the high beams, that is gonna cut down on the light coming in. And I also like that it's got blind spot detection right here that's gonna light up right there. So all really nice features. Heated steering wheel, that's a huge plus. Really nice, well done, Chev. But just a few points. Like I said, the seat belt issue, not being able to shift if you're not in, you don't have your seat belt on. I don't like that extra nanny system. And the motor, let's pop the hood and check it out. The motor and transmission, in my opinion, are points that make this kind of weaker in the segment. Toyota too has the same problem with their mid-size trucks. So here we have the Chevrolet Z71 engine. You pop it open, don't be fooled. The sales consultant might try to just talk about how it's a 2.7 liter turbo engine so that you think it's like Ford's 2.7 liter turbo engine, which at Ford, the 2.7 liter is a 6-cylinder twin turbo. But this is a turbo 4. That is a tiny little engine. And this is a, you know, these are relatively heavy trucks these days. The mid-size truck segment is like the full-size truck segment back 10, 15 years ago. Remember trucks back in the 80s, how small the mid-size was? Well, this has gotten a lot bigger. At least we can still do like the fact that you can still check your oil yourself. So good job, good on you, GM. But come on, throw for the Z71, throw at least a 6 at this that is also turboed, because let's be honest here, there is something really decent about this engine. Now what's really decent about this engine is that while it's a 4-cylinder turbo, at least it has more than adequate power. It's relatively quiet, surprisingly. It's not a noisy engine, but if you are looking for a truck with some growl, this isn't the truck at all for you. But the 2.7 liter is a decent engine. But back to the whole fact that it's a 4-cylinder, really feel that they should have thrown in a 6-cylinder turbo into this. You know, it's the Z71. Styling is great. Suspension, fantastic. But like I said, this is all about the love and hate, so highs and lows, sharing that all with you. And at 310 horsepower, that's a low. These days, that used to be a lot, but these days, that's not a ton for a truck. And the 430 pound-feet of torque, though, is a high. That's a fantastic amount of torque for this truck, but remember, it is a 4-cylinder that's going to be, you know, working and pulling your stuff, so it's going to have to work hard. I'm not a huge fan of the transmission because there's a good number of these that have a little bit of a shifting problem. It's not the best transmission on the market, but it certainly isn't the worst. And the fact that it has a 4-cylinder engine, you'd expect better than, you know, 10.9 liters per 100 kilometers. They could have had the same fuel efficiency. Well, just look at the 2.7 liter V6 twin turbo from the Ford Ranger. Same fuel economy, or even maybe a little bit better, but a lot more power. So keep that in mind, folks. This isn't gonna be a vehicle that's gonna make a ton of growl, but it's good looking, it drives great. So if you're a Chev fan, you're probably really happy. Let us know in the comments, what do you think of this vehicle? Overall, is it good or bad? What would you rate it out of 10? I'd say this is, you know, a good 7.5 for me. It's got more positive points than negative points, but the negative points do irk me a good bit. Now, please hit that like button, subscribe to Johnny's Car Care and Review. Sorry about this windy day. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, just click finisher, add finisher as a comment. It'll really help the channel grow. We're a small family business and really appreciate the help and assistance. Take care, everyone. I wish you all more cars.